In Jujutsu Kaisen, Inumaki has a power that lets him command targets with just his voice. He can stop his opponent's movement or straight up make them explode. On paper, it sounds completely broken. But here's the catch. When he uses his power, he also hurts himself in the process. This one simple drawback completely changes how we view the power. Suddenly, a seemingly overpowered ability becomes something much more balanced. A drawback makes a power feels more grounded and real, instead of mindlessly powerful. When a power has a cost, the viewers immediately understand its limits. And we start asking, is now the time to use the power? Can they afford to push this far? What happens if they push too far? Suddenly, every activation becomes a decision, and every decision carries weight. It creates stakes, it creates tension, it makes you more invested because you know the character is risking something every time they fight. If a character manages to overcome the drawback, or decided to push through it, it shows character. It tells you what kind of person they are, and how far they are willing to go. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 anime powers with drawbacks and why they make these powers so compelling. Let's go back to Inumaki. He is a cursed speech user. He can reinforce his words with cursed energy, forcing anyone who hears them to obey, whether it's people or cursed spirits. If he tells you to stop in place, you stop in place, whether you want to or not. But because of this power, Inumaki can't speak normally. To use cursed speech, a person must bear the snake eyes and fangs seal on their body, or use a cursed tool with the marking. Since Inumaki was born with the seal directly on his cheeks and tongue, it's dangerous for him to speak normally at all. To avoid accidentally triggering the ability and hurting people around him, he limits his everyday speech to safe words, specifically the names of rice ball ingredients. It's only during battle that Inumaki uses other words. Then, there's the other drawback. The more demanding his command, and the stronger the target, the more damage he will inflict on himself. At the low end, he walks away with a sore throat. Push it harder, and he's coughing up blood. Push it too far, and he might lose the ability to speak altogether, which for someone whose entire power is his voice, he is basically risking losing his power. This drawback instantly creates stakes every time he fights. Without the drawback, he can just spam Frierin's favorite words. Even Gojo doesn't stand a chance against him. The drawback is what makes his choices matter. Every word he speaks in battle is a conscious gamble. This tension pays off during the battle against a special grade curse spirit. Inumaki fight alongside his friends, and despite sustaining serious injury from overusing his power, he still steps up and pushes himself further, all to keep the first-year student from fighting by himself. It may be a small moment, but this just shows how kind, how protective of a person he is. In Hunter x Hunter, due to the nature of his clan, when Kurapika becomes enraged, his eyes shift to scarlet. This triggers a surge in his Nen aura and physical strength, and it also temporarily turns him from a conjurer into a specialist, which allows him to use his specialist ability, Emperor Time. This ability lets Kurapika utilize all 6 categories of Nen at 100% efficiency for as long as it's active. He can temporarily boost his enhancement Nen to up his defense to the point where he can take a Master Enhancer's attack with no damage. Even when he actually took damage, in this specialist state, he can use his Holy Chain to completely heal his fractured arm in seconds. Combined with the highly specific limitations he imposed on his chains, which I'll cover in a separate video, Kurapika is able to close the enormous gap in strength between himself and one of the Phantom Troop's member, Uvogin, and eventually outwit him entirely. But the cost for this power is devastating. Emperor Time doesn't just put strain on his body. It was revealed later that for every single second Kurapika spends in this mode, he loses 1 hour of his lifespan. What makes this compelling isn't the cost itself, it's what it reveals. Kurapika isn't naive, he knows what he's spending, and he does it anyway. Every time he activates Emperor Time, he is actively cutting his lifespan. It shows his resolve, and it shows his hatred for the Phantom Troop, who slaughter his entire clan for their eyes. To him, the revenge matters more than his own life. In Chainsaw Man, devils are supernatural beings that embody human fears. The more people fear something, the more powerful the devil becomes. And some of these devils are willing to work with humans, providing humans their power. But devils don't work for free. They form contracts. In exchange for their power, they take something from you, and that something is always personal. Body parts, organs, senses, or your lifespan. The sacrifice varies from devil to devil and from person to person. Himeno contracted with the ghost devil, giving up her right eye in exchange for control over one of the devil's hands. In a desperate moment during the battle against Sawatari and the Katana Man, she offered everything she had left to fully summon the ghost devil. But Sawatari, in contrast, was able to summon the snake devil in exchange for just a single fingernail, and it completely obliterate the ghost devil. While it is less common, it's also possible to form multiple contracts at once. One of the main trio, Aki, contracted with the fox devil, offering some of his skin each time he summons it. At the same time, he held deal with the curse devil, which by stabbing a target several times with a nail-shaped sword, he could summon it for a near-guaranteed kill. The price for that one was rather steep, as he lost most of his remaining lifespan after summoning it once. Aki devoted everything to killing the gun devil, the one responsible for the catastrophe that took his family. And over the course of the story, he loses his friends, someone who loves him, most of his lifespan, and eventually lost his contracts too. And if that wasn't enough, when Aki consults the future devil to form yet another contract, it just tells him plainly that he will die in the worst possible way. These moments show just how cruel the world of Chainsaw Man can be. In To Be Hero X, superpowers don't come naturally, they come from public belief. If enough people genuinely believes you can fly, you gain the ability to fly. And the more trust value you accumulate, the stronger your abilities become. It's a fascinating system, but of course it wouldn't be interesting without a drawback. By gaining trust from the public, you don't just gain what they believe you can do, you become what they believe you are. Take one of the top hero, Furman, for example. He was a firefighter, and he became famous when a footage of him holding up a collapsing building to save a child went viral. The public locked onto that image, an immovable, ever-standing hero who never goes down, and so he became exactly that. The upsides? He turns into an absolute tank. He becomes practically invulnerable, and he can hold weights of several hundred tons. The downsides? He can no longer bend his knees. He can't lower himself, can't bend at the waist more than a few degrees, and he cannot lie down. He has to sleep standing up, shit standing up, all because the public sees him as hero who never falls. Then there's Lin Ling. He was an ordinary person forced by a hero agency to impersonate the hero, Nice, who secretly committed suicide. And because Nice's fans believed he was nice, Lin Ling inherited Nice's trust value and physically transformed, taking on Nice's appearance and his power. But he also inherited the suffering. Since Nice's fanbase demanded absolute perfection from their idol, Lin Ling developed OCD. He cannot tolerate imperfections and uncleanliness because of that. He can't even confront a villain who kidnapped his loved one due to his fans thinking it was a trap and do not wish him to confront. He was pinned in his house, unable to get out. Eventually he broke. He rejected the identity, walked out, and told the world the truth. Nice was dead and he was nobody. And ironically, people respected him for it. His trust value shot back up, and he became his own hero, the commoner, the real him. Honestly, the power system in this show is just so unique and refreshing. What makes it so special is how grounded it feels. Despite being completely supernatural, the drawbacks here are essentially real-world commentaries. They are literally belief shapes reality, the weight of public image, and the trap of fame. It's supernatural on the surface, but deeply realistic underneath. In My Hero Academia, quirks are superhuman abilities that most population is born with. Each type of quirk are vastly different from each other. On one end, you have powerful quirk like explosion or a song of ice and fire. On the other end, you have whatever these are.
What?
Mirio Togata is introduced as the strongest hero student in the series. After he single-handedly took down every student in Class 1A, everyone thinks that his power is awesome. While it absolutely is, it is also only powerful after years of training. You see, his quirk is permeation. When it's active, he can sink into ground. Enemy can't hit him, everything passes through him. And it really means everything. When permeation is on, he goes blind and deaf because light and sound pass through him. He can't breathe, air passes through him as well. Every time he activates his power, he is completely cut off from every sense that tells him what's happening around him. What makes Mirio remarkable is that despite all of these, he mastered his ability anyway. Through years of training, he learned to activate the quirk on only parts of his body so that he can pass through wall without falling into the ground and phase through enemy's block and connect his punch. He also learned to read opponent's movements so he can attack even when he can't see. When Tsuyu is amazed that Mirio has a very strong quirk, Mirio said, "He made it into a strong quirk," which is absolutely true. His sheer determination turned what should have been a liability into one of the most formidable abilities in the series. Every fight Mirio wins is a testament to his intelligence and discipline. In this case, instead of holding him back, the drawback actually elevates him as a character. So why do drawbacks work so well? Because they close the distance between the audience and the character. When a power has no cost, the character wields it and you watch. When a power has a cost, you feel every time they use it. But more than that, drawbacks are also a form of characterization. They show you what a character is willing to pay for their power, and what a character is willing to do, despite the drawback. The drawback isn't the obstacle. The drawback is the point. It's where the character proves themselves. Well, that's it for the video. Let me know which power with drawback you like the most, and if there's an ability I missed that deserves a spot on this list. Subscribe if you've made it this far. I really appreciate it. See you on the next one.